This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe from hackers. For example, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries, streaming services such as DAZN in Spain for those all-important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe if you use public Wi-Fi, such as a college or a cafe. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning that you can even share an account with friends and family. On top of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can even get your money back. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for just over €2 per month and up to 4 months free. Why not scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to take advantage of this offer. What is up, my friends? Happy Andoni Iraola Day to each and every one of you. As always, you are very welcome along to tonight's Late Night Agenda, proudly brought to you with thanks to our friends at Surfshark. I see somebody in the comments say, Surfshark, it's not a match day. We don't actually use Surfshark on a match day, so that's that's on you, sir. That's on you. That's not on us. But look, ladies and gents, wow, what a day. So much to discuss tonight. We are, of course, going to give you some quotes from our new head coach. We're going to talk about transfers. We're going to talk about what the future may hold for some of these Liverpool players that are currently at the club. And we're going to take you through some of the exciting parts of Andoni Iraola's first interview as Liverpool's head coach. So, of course, we know today that it has been confirmed that it's a 2-year contract for Iraola. And the reason for that is on him. It's his preference, and I like it. Other people don't like it, and I really have had a mixed review today. I've been speaking with lots of people in and around football behind the scenes. Some people think it's understandable. Other people find it concerning. For me, look, I like it. This is what Iraola's done throughout his career. He likes to earn the next contract, and I'm all for it. I don't have any fear about this one. I'm very excited about Iraola coming in, and I'm certainly willing to get right behind the new head coach. So tonight, let's get stuck into it. Let us know your thoughts. We'll read you through some of the comments, but of course, this is your show, so we do want to know how you guys are feeling about it. Natasha, how are you, my friend? Said, so excited for this appointment. I don't think you're on your own, Natasha. It really is. It's been like a buzz going around today so far. Everybody waiting for that announcement. 7 o'clock came, it didn't come. 7:30 came, and there it was, dropped in. Andoni Iraola, announced by the club. I'm going to take you through in the next couple of minutes some of what he's had to say, but immediately things that jump off the page to me is hearing him talk about the fact that some of the senior players will be at the World Cup, and that he's excited to get to work with some of the younger players and the returning loanees. Straight away, that's night and day compared to the previous head coach. And that's something that I think a lot of Liverpool fans now feel like, yeah, he's the guy. And look, if you do have any doubts about the appointment as well, feel free to put them in. We don't all have to be on the same page here. Yeah, it's exciting though. It's a good day. Davino, how are we, sir? Hey, Craig, how are you? It's been a minute. Just wanted to say hi, and you're an amazing human being. Thank you for the new season. So excited for the new season with Iraola. Well, a pleasure as always, Davino. Yeah, I'm excited as well, mate. It's been mental over the last season. You know, none of us have been happy with the way things have gone, but this really does feel like the start of a fresh start and something new. And here's wishing Andoni Iraola every success. Ian said, Iraola is already showing he's a better manager than Slot. He's going to be working with the academy players during the World Cup. Slot would never have done that, and he would have gone on holidays. Well, look, it is exciting to hear that Andoni Iraola, because it's common sense as well. Like, the players will be at the World Cup, as he mentioned. So a lot of the younger guys and fringe players will be the ones that are taking part in the pre-season tour of America. So yeah, it's only right and proper that he singles out that he's going to be working with them. But it's still great to hear him straight off the bat saying things like that. Happy Granola Day. Is it Granola Day? I don't know. I do like a bit of granola though. So yeah, happy Granola Day to you as well, my friend. Eddie, how are we, bro? Eddie said, so happy. Straight and to the point. I love it, Eddie. And I think you probably summarised, mate, how a lot of us feel right now. Jaden said, "Hey Craig, how was flying the new manager into Liverpool? I wish I could fly a plane. It wasn't me, but look, it was just great. It was just great that everything came together as we hoped it would today. I was anticipating the first interview like everybody else, waiting to see what IRAOLA has to say. And on that, let me take you through some of the comments. So these are some of the things that we've heard from Andoni Iraola straight away through the door. He said, really, really excited because obviously you know about Liverpool. You know it's such a big club, a massive club, one of the biggest in the world. But feeling inside and understanding a little bit more of this club, I always thought it's a special club. You don't need a lot of things to get attracted by Liverpool. Liverpool is Liverpool. But obviously the atmosphere, the supporters, the club, the players, the chance for me to coach top level players, the chance to fight for titles, I cannot be more attractive than this. I find it difficult to put into words, but really excited to start. He also went on to say about his own ambitions. I think Liverpool gives me the chance to coach top players, and top players give you the chance to fight for titles, to win titles. Obviously, when you arrive at a place, you cannot promise everything. You cannot promise, but it's true that I understand where I'm coming and what is expected. Also, Andoni Iraola about Anfield had this to say of being on the other side. I still remember the goal Federico Chiesa scored at the end of the first game of the season. We were there with 2-2 thinking that we'd probably take something. He scored and the place erupted. It was crazy, no? I want now to feel this from the other side. At the beginning, when you arrive at any club, I think you need to kind of prove yourself a little bit. You need to earn the right to belong. I want to do that as quickly as possible, and I want to also celebrate with them and be properly part of those celebrations. For me, football is about emotions. Now, I want to stop there just for a second because that sentence got me right in the feels. Football for him is about emotion. Football for me is about emotion. Football for a lot of Liverpool fans is about emotion and that connection. He goes on to say, I'm quite cool-headed probably during my life, quite rational, I would say. But it's true that when the game starts, you have to celebrate a goal. It's something inside, no? He went on to say, I think this inner energy you need as a player, you need as a supporter, and you need as a coach. No better place than Anfield. On top of that, he said, you don't need a lot of things to get attracted by Liverpool. Liverpool is Liverpool. On this day for him, on his arrival as Liverpool head coach, his first day on the, well, it's not really in the role yet, but the unveiling day, he said, I think it's a day for me. Not only a day for me, I think you've seen what has been your life, what you've been your influences. I'm coming from a very small town, working class outside of San Sebastian. I've had my journey to become a football player. I've had my coaching journey starting in Cyprus, going through the divisions, promotions, arriving then in La Liga, then the Premier League. And now we're here, and a lot of people have helped you during this process. Every time I receive a message, I think you have to remember all those people that helped you, that influenced you, that I am motivated to show all these people that we made it together and we also enjoy it. I love hearing things like that. And for me, his influence, or the influence of Marcelo Bielsa on him, is a huge factor for me. I love Bielsa as a coach. And if you'd indulge me a little bit, I'd like to tell you one of my favourite stories about Marcelo Bielsa that really attracted me to him. So let me say this. There's a story that when he was coaching in Argentina, I believe it was Argentina, it may have been Uruguay, but I think it was Argentina. And the goalkeeper of one of the sides of Marcelo Bielsa said this. He said, I was getting pelters from the fans. I was getting booed left, right and centre. Every clearance that he was making was being over players' heads. It was going out for throw-ins, every goal kick straight out. And the fans were getting frustrated. But then the realisation came when fans understood why the goalkeeper was doing this. Marcelo Bielsa had spotted that this particular team were susceptible to turning over possession from throw-ins, and in that moment he realised that if his goalkeeper just puts the ball straight at a play, that they can then try to turn over possession in an advanced position on the pitch, and that's how they got one of the goals that day. And it's that small attention to detail, these tiny little things, that anyone who's a disciple of Bielsa will certainly have picked up on. And that's what makes me one of the most excited Liverpool fans in the world at this minute, because I knew we'd never get Marcelo Bielsa because probably not the right fit. But Andoni Iraola, having worked under him, having been coached by him, I'm so excited. I'm absolutely buzzing. So for me, folks, this is a good day, and one I think we're going to look back on fondly. But do let me know your thoughts. No, I've done that one. This one. from Chrysler. What's your thoughts about the wording around our transfer targets? Used to be that the deal was done. Now it's looking at appreciate or favourite. I think people have been a little more cautious about some of their wording. From what David Ornstein said, Liverpool are pushing to try to sign Diamande, and we'll talk about that over the course of this evening. We'll talk a little bit about Bradley Barcola. But I want to give myself a bit of a pat on the back for a minute, because Paul Joyce just posted something to confirm a story that I told you guys a long time ago. And Paul Joyce said Alexis McAllister could be moved on by Liverpool this summer. Now, we discussed this on the Anfield Agenda podcast this evening as well. The first one with myself, Lewis and Bents. I think it was a really good chat, and let me know your feedback if you do get a chance to listen to it. But that just, again, reiterates to me that, yes, it probably is likely MACCA moves on. And for the reasons that I've talked about before, he has the contract, obviously, that has 2 years to go. But it's the age profile for me. If you're to get a big deal for Alexis McAllister, this is probably the last time you can do it. So I've always thought that it was likely that Liverpool may look to cash in there and bring in somebody with younger legs. Now, where is he going to go? Well, late last night, I'd seen some links to Atletico Madrid. So we'll keep an eye on those and see how they progress, if indeed they do progress over the next while. What's your thoughts on the wording around transfer target? Well, like I said, 195 Chrysler, you got to be careful because nothing's confirmed yet. And I've always said this as well. There's a battle for hearts and minds when it comes to transfers. If multiple clubs are going for a player, you're going to see their friendly media briefed about it. And I guess great examples of this are what happens over in Spain when Madrid or Barca want a player. The media around them always make it sound like it's a formality and there's no point in anybody else even trying. But from what I can understand today, we feel certainly in the mix for Diamande. But what I'm wondering is there any world where maybe Diamande and Barcola could be purchased by Liverpool Football Club? Because it looks like even if PSG miss out on Diamande, they have looked at Akliouche and others. So there's some talk that there could be an availability of Barcola this summer regardless. So I'll keep an eye on that one as well and read you what I find on that. Roshi said, incredible going from a coach where we wonder what do we do in training to one who might have us saying maybe he has them training too much. It's really, look, if I'm a young player at Liverpool Football Club, those words today from Danny IRAOLA are going to be like music to my ears. That he's looking forward to working with the young players, that he's looking forward to working with the fringe players, and he's going to give them a chance. And that's all that they can ask for. Then it's up to them to show that they belong to stay in the first team squad, that the manager can look to utilise them as the season goes on. And I'm excited to see which young players do get into his thought process over the pre-season camp and stuff like that. So, yeah, today definitely goes in the good day category as a Liverpool fan. So, I want to ask, do you think he'll be a success? So, I want to ask that as the first poll. So, will Andoni Iraola be a success at Liverpool? Let me know your thoughts on that one. 1 second, sorry. There we go. Will Andoni Iraola be a success at Liverpool? Yes or no? Because there are people who are concerned. And look, we have to be fair and say it is a step up from previous clubs that he's managed that. And he is coming into a club that's not just happy to be in the European competition, that want to win these European competitions or win the Premier League. And that does come with its own pressure. But I honestly get the feeling that he thinks it's the right time, that he has progressed. And we often talk about these with football players, who maybe started at a lower tier, work their way up and get to the Prem. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a success or failure. But he feels to me like he's served his time and he's ready for the step up. I don't know if he'll win trophies immediately or not. It'd be silly of me to try and gauge that. But I definitely feel like the willingness is there for Liverpool fans now to allow him to develop, allow him to get going. And if there are some early mistakes, so be it. It's about making sure that over the course of the season, when we're talking about it in May, that we've been in the mix and maybe have a bit of silverware. That'd be brilliant. Anders Larsson said, do you remember me? I don't, my friend, at this particular moment in time, but my memory's like a goldfish, so please don't take that personally. Craig, I really think we get both Diamonde and Barcola. I don't know, Jaden, but I'm hoping. I'm hoping, bro. Like, over the next week or two, I definitely think more stuff will become apparent now that we've got the managerial appointment, or excuse me, the head coach appointment out of the way. I do think we'll have a better understanding of what areas he wants to look at and assess. And we had a really good chat about that on the podcast earlier on, actually. Benz was given some good takes on some of the young right backs that he likes, some of the midfielders that he thinks we should be looking at. Kamara's name, obviously, there. So, yeah, Sangar, another one. Love you, Craig. Who's your preferred target for the wing? I go back and forth in my mind. One day I'm saying Diamonde in my head. The next day I'm saying Barcola. But I think it's Diamonde. Like, Diamonde's ceiling is higher, but Barcola obviously is a bit more experienced. But it's that explosiveness, that two-footedness, and that raw talent. I'm just a big fan of a young, direct, pacey winger. And the fact that he can play off either flank, I guess, as could Barcola, but he seems more naturally two-footed. That really excites me. To follow up my previous comment, we didn't use to know who we were targeting before they'd signed. I think that's more a case of the way social media has evolved. I mean, we had a bit of a discussion about this again on the podcast, about the role the fan content has played in maybe forcing things out into the open a bit earlier than others would have liked. And that is one of the constant battles that we in the fan content business have with our peers, let's say, in the journalistic world, who would say, they have to source things, we can be a bit bolder, we can be a bit quicker, and we certainly can speak out of turn without having to worry about repercussion. And that's the thing that I love, is the freedom that we have to say stuff. We don't have to toe the company line. So I think if you add in all of those things, and the fact that, everything is instantaneous and the desire for information is constantly there, that's the reason why. And then you take into account as well just the amount of stats and data that's out there these days. So people have a much greater understanding of the type of talent that we're being linked to, or who we should be looking at. And then, of course, there's the grubby side of it, which is agents and clubs briefing their own stuff that they want, players who they want, in the mix. And, some of the time players are using clubs' names just to try and get themselves moves. But I don't know, I love it, mate. I love all the transfer stuff. It's something I've been excited about since I was a teenager, reading the newspapers, trying to figure out who Liverpool are looking at. I feel like Slot set the bar so low in terms of work ethic, it would be hard not to improve, so it's almost the perfect person to follow up. It definitely feels ESG soccer like a return to something that at least we recognise, or something that we can get on board with. We've said so many times that we felt a disconnect to the brand of football and the style of football that we'd seen played under Arna. And I don't think we're going to feel that. Now, I don't know how the results go, but I do know this will be far more like a version of Liverpool that we're used to. And hopefully it all works out, because this is a big appointment. And if this one doesn't work out, we could go into that spiral, that free fall of like other clubs scratching around, trying to figure it out. But I hope this works out. And I do think the more I thought about it, the more I've looked into it, I feel less like it was just a lazy appointment or an easy one for Richard Hughes. I actually just think it was the best one, because as well as having the traits that we want in the style of play and his footballing philosophy, he does know the Premier League. Now, of course, he doesn't have as much experience at the European level or any really, but he does know what the Premier League entails. He does know what's needed. Did everybody else see, by the way, Hugo Ekitike liking a post from Alex Scott? I found that one very funny. A bit random, but, could mean something, could mean nothing. Where are we up to next? This one. He's a good manager, but Arsenal will retain the league. Happy United fans are now worried about IRAOLA. I don't know. I don't know what to expect, Zane, on the Premier League front next season. And I'm not saying Arsenal won't retain the Premier League title. There's every chance that they may. But I really don't know what to expect. If looking at it from the outside, well, you've got Crystal Palace, who could bring in Pierre Sage. You've got Bournemouth, who, of course, have Marco Rose. You've got Liverpool, who've just appointed Donny IRAOLA. Michael Carrick, who's just, got the full-time job at United. Xabi Alonso coming into Chelsea, and Enzo Maresca coming into City. That's a lot of change. And throw in De Zerbi, I guess, as well, who's relatively new appointment to Spurs. That's a lot of change for big football clubs. And there's more coming. Fulham are going to have to appoint a new manager. So it's a really difficult one to gauge what way the Premier League's going to go. I think, though, Alonso and Chelsea probably do have somewhat of an advantage in that they've no European football. But that's an advantage purely just from the Premier League perspective. Of course, they want to give their right arm to be in the Champions League again. But I don't know. It just feels good to be excited again. It does. Today definitely goes down in the good days. And we haven't had enough of them lately. So I'm quite happy to be on and see so many fans excited, so many Liverpool fans just anticipating the new season. Now, we won't get a press conference, it seems like, until closer to pre-season. And that's understandable. I don't know what way his contract works with Bournemouth, if his contract runs to the end of June like the players do. But they're working on the backroom staff as well in those appointments. He's going to bring in his fitness coach, but they're looking at 2 or 3 more that they hope, some of them still under contract with Bournemouth, so Liverpool would have to negotiate their release as well. Jordan said, happy IRAOLA Day. What a fantastic day. Looking forward to the future. Hope everybody has good Friday and a fantastic weekend. Vibes are high. Bosh. Vibes are high indeed. Absolutely. It feels night and day from a few weeks ago. Eddie said, do you think I'm looking too much into... he name-dropped Fede? Yes, I do. I think you're looking too much into that because he just happened to be the goal scorer of the goal at the end of the game. But look, truth is, Eddie, I don't know. I don't know who he's going to give a fresh start to. I don't know if he's earmarked a couple of players to go or whatever. It's impossible to know at this point, but you'd hope everybody's at least given the opportunity to impress and given a fresh start. Now, what happens with Chiesa? Will Como have been interested? We've seen that in recent days as well. But look, just let this play out how it may, and hopefully we have a good transfer window, and then we should be just raring to go for the new season. Nice of Canade to think about Trent's well-being. Now they can sit next to each other on the Madrid bench. I actually think he'll do all right at Madrid, I do. I think he'll do all right over there. I don't want to sit here and start bad-mouthing Canade. I have thoughts, like everybody else, about the way it happened. But ultimately, he's done nothing wrong, really. He's seen out his contract. He couldn't negotiate an agreement with Liverpool, and he was able to with Madrid. So it kind of is what it is. I'd be more annoyed if we don't get a replacement in. Like, that would annoy me far more than him moving on. Because I don't buy the line that Liverpool aren't really looking into a replacement. I think we have to. We've had a roller coaster of emotions from winning the league to having a bad season, but it feels like a breath of fresh air, said Sarah. Yeah, exactly that, Sarah, mate. I'm struggling to contain my thoughts at the minute because my head's going at 100 miles an hour, and I have so many things that I want to get out and I want to just talk about and be excited about. But it was a really impressive first interview for me. He hit all the things I'd want him to say. Young players, connect with the fans, brand of football, like all the things that seem simple, seem obvious, but he said them, and it matters. And the amount of people like Sam, so I messaged Sam Maguire to say I loved his post. He said, day one, I'll already go to war for him. And I feel the exact same way. It feels like we're getting back to ourselves. We're getting back to being excited to watch Liverpool play again, instead of wondering which version of us is going to show up. Right, a couple of more things just in. Paul Joyce has said, areas that Donny IRAOLA needs to urgently address in the coming weeks. Fix the discontent with the Anfield crowd. Well, I honestly think he'll box that one off quite quickly. Get the best out of Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak. That I absolutely agree with Mr. Joyce on. First impressions count, and they do, and it will be important that he makes that right first impression with the Liverpool dressing room, particularly the senior players. Shape squad building and assert authority and reset standards. On top of that as well, Andy Hunter of The Guardian has said an experienced centre-back and a midfielder could also be added to the list, but the wingers and right-back are considered more pressing requirements. Player sales or market opportunities could result in a centre-half and a midfielder arriving later in the window. That makes sense to me. Like, if we were to sit here ourselves as fans and talk about preferences, I do think those are positions, central midfield perhaps, certainly at right back and right wing. They're positions that do have to be prioritised. Also, Andy Hunter of The Guardian said DIAMONDE is a leading target, although Leipzig are reluctant to sell, and Paris Saint-Germain are also keen. A new right back is wanted, with Conor Bradley recovering from a serious knee injury and Jeremy Frimpong more of a backup option. I'm the guy who beat cancer. I love you, man. Oh, now I remember, Anders. Sorry, dude. And well in you, bro. Well in you. And I hope that your health is still good, my friend. And yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate your kind words. But sorry, dude. Yeah, now I definitely remember who you are. And yeah, I'm delighted for you, man. Well in. I hope you're still doing well. Fua said, I'm worried about IRAOLA's 37% win rate, but as Rodgers showed, you only need to get the best of the superstars, and IRAOLA has a far better team than Rodgers did, and that's before signings. I think you ignore the win rates, because we're not talking about a coach here who's been at Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Juventus. You know, we're talking about a coach here who's been at Rayo Vallecano, Bournemouth, clubs with much smaller budgets. And yeah, I'd ignore the win percentage. Just concentrate on things like the brands of football. Listen to what Jurgen Klopp said. He talked about Bournemouth being a properly coached team, a proper good team. You know, I'm just excited. I don't think you need to be concerned about what he did at previous clubs, because all of that is leading to his move to Liverpool, and now he's arrived at the top table. What goals and assists would you be happy with from Isak next season? So on that one, I'm going to get rid of the assists because he's a centre forward. I don't give a fuck about his assists, and that's not a dig at you. I mean that sincerely. I want 20 goals minimum from Isak next season. 20 minimum. That's it. League goals. That's my aim for him. 20 league goals next season for Isak. I think that's a realistic number as well, because let's not forget, £125 million is £125 million. So, you know, he's got to start repaying that. And with all fairness, season 1 didn't really go how anybody planned for a variety of reasons. So let's hope season 2. And look, I'm hopeful because IRAOLA worked really, really well with Dominic Solanke and progressed him massively. So I really think here, you know, working with an even higher quality forward, once he gets the right wide players in to get that service into Isak, there's no reason why. How much could we get for MACCA potentially if he sold? Well, we did a chat about this last night, and I think the general consensus was somewhere between 60 and 70 is kind of where our heads were at with that one. And I think anywhere above 60, you're in a very realistic range, but that is just a number that we're talking about as fans. I haven't seen a bona fide number put out there by journalists or briefed out by the club or anything like that. Coco Sandwich said, Craig, honestly, I gotta know, are we getting Isak? A poll, that's what you're saying. You want an Isak poll? That's what I'm hearing. I loved every minute of that, by the way. You know, that whole thing, I loved it all. I loved that summer. That was like peak me, just shithouse all summer, winding people up, having a bit of fun. And by winding people up, I meant outside of our Liverpool fan base. Yeah, that was brilliant. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed that last summer. White Hammer said, he had me at, I want to fight to be one of you. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm right there with you, my man. I was the very same. I'm ready. As Sam Maguire said, ready to go to war. Ready to go to war. Hi, Craig. Do you think some of the players at the club will be a bit concerned about IRAOLA's training regime? The likes of Virgil seems to be half-soaked and lazy. Also, who do you hope wins the World Cup? Look, get with the programme is going to be the answer to the players. Nothing hard and nothing worth accomplishing comes easy, as they say. So No, I don't. I actually think they're going to buy into it. And I think that they're going to... Like, think about it this way. Yeah, everyone hates a preseason. You talk to any player from any club, nobody likes going back for preseason. But if you get that right and you get your fitness right, the thought process then is that the games come easier to you. If you've done the hard yards, you know, you're not going to be outrun. You're not going to be outfought. You're going to be able to have that little bit extra. And it also increases the standards and the levels of competition. So, look, new coach, new regime, whatever he wants, you've got to deliver, or it won't work out well. So not worried about it, excited about it. And on the World Cup, who do I want to win it? Who do I want to win the World Cup? Probably Spain. I just have a soft spot for Spain because I love the country. So Spain. Yeah, probably Spain, if I'm being honest. Although I do have my Argentina Messi shirt. So, but yeah, I would go with Spain as who I hope. Who do I think will win it? I think France might be favourites. Ryan said, think he'll be a great manager for us. Done great with Bournemouth. I think he can do better with Liverpool. Big love for myself and Nathan. We love you. Thank you. Love right back to both of you, my friend. Appreciate you. Here he is. How are we, Shane? Oh, unfortunately, I think you lot will win it. The league. Oh, I don't know, Shane. I don't know, mate. I don't know what to think about what the expectation should be. All I feel comfortable in saying at the moment, Shane, is we'll be better than we were last season. And, you know, the 24-point drop-off was nowhere near acceptable. So, yeah, we'll be better than we were last season. What that means at the end of it, I don't know. Because I really don't know what to expect league-wide. You know, it's hard to know how all the new head coaches are going to settle in their new roles. So, yeah, I don't know. But you can probably see from my face, Shane, I'm pretty happy. And from a United perspective, because Shane's a United fan, I still think you made the wrong decision, Shane. And I know you agree with me on this, by the way. I just don't understand how they got lured into that Carrick stuff. But as a Liverpool fan, I'm fucking delighted. Because it was an easier season last season. Now look, I'm not trying to say Michael Carrick didn't do a good job. He absolutely did. And he restored pride and passion in that dressing room. But I don't think he's the right guy going forward. And I think you're going to still be looking for that guy. And I don't think it's going to be him after I'd be surprised if he survives this season, to be honest. You know, now the Champions League football's back, 2 games a week. I don't think it'll work out well for United. And I'm surprised at the naivety of being lulled into this again. Nice to see rival fans jealous of the appointment. I don't know. I haven't really had much time to get to grips with what rival fans think about it, to be honest with you. But yeah, my fellow Reds certainly seem excited, and the first interview certainly has gone down really well. So yeah, good day in that regard. When we're getting Costas back, he scored today. I hope we sell him. I can't lie, I do, for 2 reasons. Because if we don't, well, then we're either going to have to give Costas a new deal or he goes for free in a year. So for me, it makes no sense. Because I don't think he's good enough to give a new deal to. So I don't want another player walking out the door for free next summer. Because we may lose Virgil for free. We may lose Alisson for free. There are concerns, by the way, about Georgie Marmadarashvili and whether he'll be sold or not this summer. There's a few things starting to do the rounds about that. Honestly, I'm trying to find out how much truth is in that at this moment in time. But I'm just fucking happy, lads. That's it. I'm just happy. 30 years married. God help me. Oh, that's congratulations. That's awesome. 30 years. I'm 20 years next March. So yeah, congratulations to you both, man. 30 years. Well in. I think he suits us more than Alonso. I'm pleased. I think he suits us more than Alonso as well. Look, I would have loved Xabi Alonso. I'm not going to rewrite history. If we had appointed him, I'd have been more than happy as well. But I think he's a better fit stylistically than Alonso would be for us. So Alonso comes more from the Pep Guardiola mould of, you know, resting with possession and, you know, working hard off the ball to win it back in 5 to 7 seconds, then resting in possession and wearing teams out and using that possession to pass teams to death. It's a bit more methodical and a bit less chaotic. But I love me some chaos. So I'm more than happy with who we do have. Will IRAOLA be able to cope with a low block? Ironically, it is something that he said Bournemouth had struggled with before as well. But it's all part of the intriguing factor. You know, when you come to a club like Liverpool, there are going to be more teams who set back and make it difficult for you. But if we have, let's say, a Diamonde, fit and fire an Isak, a Wirtz in the pocket, a Szoboszlai, you'd hope that we could create the opportunities that we can break through these low blocks and break them down. And sometimes even just having, you know, a tricky, pacey winger can draw fouls and stuff like that as well. So, yeah, happy days. Stephen said, afternoon, Craig. Hope you're doing well. Would be amazing to get both Diamonde and Barcola. What are the chances? I can't sit here and say zero. I can't, but it depends where they want to allocate money to and what the priorities are. For instance, if you were looking at those two, I think it's fair to say you're talking somewhere in and around 160 to 180 million euro for the two, or £1 million for the two of them. So would you be better going for one of them and let's say somebody else in the 30, 40 million quid category? It's a tough one, but truth is, I don't know. I don't know, mate. I know we're after a winger, but after we get priority number one through the door, I don't know what way they're going to look at the other wide positions. I don't know if maybe IRAOLA thinks Gakpo will work in the way he wants him to play. I don't know how strongly he thinks Rio is ready for now. So you know what I've said all the way through. Give me a Jared Bowen and a young winger and I'll be over the moon. Woody said, whole interview was great. I'm so optimistic. Yeah, and how nice is that to feel again and say again? It's brilliant. Right, what else have we got on this one? Let's keep going. So much news coming in today. So here's a quote from Alex Scott on IRAOLA's move to Liverpool. He said, he's a great manager. You see what we've done as a club and how we progressed over the 3 seasons he was with us. The way we press out of possession is very aggressive, similar to the early Klopp teams at Liverpool. That fierce aggressiveness and pressing with wingers. Liverpool fans should definitely be so excited. It's a bigger club, but there is no reason why he can't go in there and be a top manager and take them back to the level they were at. I love it. I love it. Keep it coming. Come on, keep that positivity coming. John said, I want to earn the right to be one of you, IRAOLA to the fans. Brilliant. Yep. Already feels like he just gets it more, doesn't it? It just feels that way straight from the offset. Anthony said, I was a bit concerned with 2 years, but listening to his interview, then you can see and hear how excited and passionate he is, and that tells me everything. So I was speaking to somebody really well known in football today, but I didn't ask could I name drop him into this conversation, but I had an exchange with somebody today, and the 2-year contract concerned them, but it doesn't concern me. And I can see this being a divisive thing for some people, and I understand both sides of it. But if it's truly to earn the right and to feel like it's the right move for the club and the coach each summer, I've no problem with that. I've no problem with feeling like you need to prove yourself every year. I think it speaks to it, because it'd be easy for him to go, yeah, I want a 5-year deal and all the guarantees that come with that. You know, the guaranteed payoff if it doesn't work out. But if you're Liverpool looking at this, well, you've got a coach that's come in for 2 years. Everybody wants him to succeed, and if he does, you'd imagine there'd be an extension. But if it didn't work out, for whatever reason, there's a far easier exit strategy there as well. Now, I do think it works out, and we all want it to work out. But, you know, that's the way I look at the contract situation. And it's not like he suddenly started just wanting to do this at Liverpool. This was something that he'd done at previous clubs as well. Liz, how are we, my friend? Always an absolute pleasure to see you. And I can't wait till the day you can actually come and meet yourself and Ian properly in person, give you both a hug and say thank you and hello. It's a good day for a good day. Got a positive test result about the new meds not hurting my kidney and keeping seizures at bay. WFM, love you. Fucking yes, Liz. Yes. That's what we want to hear. Liz is the mammy of the channel, by the way, in case you guys don't know. Sorry, Liz is one of the senior Anfield Agenda propaganda merchants, and Liz has been through a lot with illnesses over the last few years, but only ever projects positivity and light. And I love Liz to bits. I do. She's always been so kind to me, even when we initially butted heads at the start. But yeah, always positive, and I'm so happy to hear that, Liz. I really, really am so happy to hear that for you. I know what you've been through. So yeah, here's wishing you continued health, my friend. Anders, I'm good. This community has really helped me. Oh, dude, right in the fields. Come on. Love that, man. Love that. It is a great group of people. I say this all the time. It's definitely the thing I'm most proud of this channel, is the community of people that are in it and how good they are to each other. And I love that, man. Thank you. And I'm glad to hear you're doing well. That meme guy said we need 2 right wingers. Frimpong right wing needs to stop. I agree on the Frimpong thing. And I agree on needing 2 right wingers. But I think if we look at the profile, like let's say we got in Diamonde. So then you've got 19, 20-year-old. You've got Rio on the other side, 17, headed for 18. So I'd like the experience. So you've got a Cody Gakpo, who's, you know, in his mid-20s. And I'd like something like a Jared Bowen to give the balance on the other side and the experience. And I keep saying Jared Bowen's name and I keep repeating it, but I've got to be honest and say I've not seen anything concrete to say this is other than a pipe dream for me. But that's what I'd be thinking of, you know, something along those lines. Paul said, Craig, you're finally smiling again. It's great to see it. I've always told you, Paul, I can't hide emotion. You know, if I'm down, you'll tell by looking at me. If I'm happy, you'll tell by looking at me. And just like everybody else today, I'm just feeling positive vibes, man, about the future. Nessie said, the things he said in the small video were exactly the things I wanted him to say. Felt like a golden sky at the end of the storm. A golden sky at the end of the storm, excuse me. Klopp vibes again. Yep. He, I didn't realise, and I only found this out earlier on, that we tried to sign him. I think it was in 2013 when he was at Athletic Club Bilbao. I didn't realise that we'd apparently tried to sign him. So yeah, that was class to hear as well. Where's the new studio, mate? It's over there. It's over there. Can you not see it? No, it's Monday, mate. I was saying a few times over the last couple of days, we there's one small technical hiccup. We need to get apart, and we'll have it for Monday. So that was the delay, unfortunately. But look, happy to have gotten this news over the line for IRAOLA and that he's new Liverpool head coach. Just happy with that. But yeah, we'll be in there on Monday. We will now see the real Florian Wirtz. So for you guys, right, what player do you think Andoni Iraola is going to benefit most in the Liverpool squad? Who do you think you're going to see the biggest improvement from under Andoni Iraola's coaching? Let me know in the comments. Szoboszlai is pacey, pretty good at a high press, intercepting 1-2, shooting inside and outside the box. He's an Iraola winger. Front 3 of Szoboszlai, Isak, Jan, Wirtz in the top 10 spot. Or in the 10 spot, excuse me. I'm not really sure what to expect with Szoboszlai, whether it'll be right or whether it'll be in the centre of the park, but interesting thoughts, my man. So Mark reckons Rio, Wayne reckons, well, Wayne saying goodnight to Rachel, actually. Oliver said Isak, Paul goes for Wirtz, Kirkes for Harry, Isak for Osric, Kirkes for Nathan Johnson. Yeah, can understand where you've come up with Kirkes as well. Obviously, haven't played with him, or coached him, excuse me, at Bournemouth. Needs to be Wirtz. Yeah, look, the pressure's on Wirtz and Isak this year. They're the two, I think, that come in starting the season with the most pressure on their shoulders. Kirkes probably had the season we expected when he came in. You know, got better as it went on. So yeah, I would say they're the two that certainly have a bit of pressure on them. Iriola should improve Kirkes, Jones, Wirtz, Rio. I still don't know what's happening with Curtis Jones. Like, it's kind of been quiet on that front over the last 48 hours. Don't really know too much about what Curtis Jones may or may not expect now, you know? Because if Curtis Jones genuinely wants to be an every week type player, can anybody really see a time when that happens at Liverpool? Like, to the extent, let's say, of a Virgil van Dijk starting in the team, or a Dominic Szoboszlai starting in the team. I don't know if Curtis Jones will ever get that with Liverpool. And that's my honest answer on it. And if he does want that, I don't think he's going to be able to be promised that. Because I think there are people better ahead of him in the pecking order. And then we'll be bringing in other midfielders as well. So if Andoni Iraola and himself can agree that maybe he plays every second game, or if we're playing 2 games a week and he'll get enough games, cool. Happy to have Curtis Jones stay around as well. But that will have to be sorted out this summer, because we can't have Curtis Jones running down a contract and leaving on a free in a year's time. So that one does have to figure itself out. But at this moment in time, I don't know what way it goes. Fua said, can he improve Wirtz and Isak like Solanke? Certainly Isak, yes. I expect him to get Isak firing again. The Wirtz one is going to be interesting. And I'm also intrigued by the Harvey Elliott situation, because I could see where he could try to turn Harvey Elliott into his Justin Kluivert type role. But then again, maybe the club have already decided that Elliott's on his way, or maybe Elliott's decided that he's on his way. So yeah, a lot of unknowns at the minute, but a lot of cool possibilities as well. Motorhome Dreamer said, really impressed with his first interview. Has the passion and connection I've been wanting. I think all the players will shine now, said Kevin Robertson. Is Elliott coming back, and where is Carvalho? Carvalho left Liverpool a long time ago. Yeah, Carvalho went to Brentford and then hasn't really broken through there. So yeah, he's not a Liverpool player. Elliott will be coming back for pre-season, but that doesn't mean that he may not move on at some point over the summer. He isn't the manager, right? So he doesn't have a say in signing. It's never really that simple. Like, there is no hard and fast rule on that. He is a head coach. That much, yes. He is the head coach. But it doesn't mean he won't have any say. Of course he'll have an opinion and an input. But how strongly that is listened to by Hughes and Edwards, be impossible for me to say at this point. But the best way a head coach can gain more influence is by winning. Look at Arteta at Arsenal. That's a really good example of a modern setup where he went in as head coach, but showed the board at Arsenal that he's constantly improving that team and getting them challenging, and then became manager. So there's no reason to say that Andoni Iraola, if he's here for 2 years, does well, wins some silverware, that he doesn't get more of a say. Because the more success you have, of course, you're talking from a position of strength more. So, you know, this is the safe play in modern football, to go for the head coach rather than the manager. Because the manager also dilutes down the amount of time he has on the training pitch, because he's just across so many things. And Andoni Iraola is a real hands-on coach. You'll see that from the videos coming out of the exit and stuff as well. He wants to get in there in the thick of it. But look, I wouldn't hang up too much or get too hung up on head coach versus manager. It's much of a muchness for us fans. Like, at the end of the day, he picks the team, he coaches the team, and he will give an input into transfers. But the final decision will, of course, rest with FSG, Hughes and Edwards. John Irving, 11 months, my man, as a member. Thank you, John. Appreciate you. John said, my life now is the brightest light at the end of despair that was slot. No more nightmares of low blocks again. Have FSG just invested in AI? Yeah, I was thinking of the whole Andoni Iraola AI thing myself. And I was thinking of a shithouse bit of, you know, the way you guys are always saying to me, should I say this or am I going to land myself in trouble? No, it's a bit of fun, so I think people take it as that. So, you know, the way you guys say to me all the time, Craig, any chance this Anfield Agenda merchandise? I was thinking about it. How about we have a nice red MACCA hat? MAAGA. Make Anfield Agenda great again. Seems like a good bit of merch to me, folks. What could possibly go wrong? You'd all love to be wandering around in a MAGA hat, wouldn't you? A double A MAGA hat, never mind, you know. Make Anfield Agenda great again. What could go wrong there? I'm expecting IRAOLA to outrun stats, said Lewis. Opinions on Szoboszlai being the next captain? Highly logical to me. I got a little bit worried, by the way, because I was talking with Ben's earlier on the podcast, and obviously Ben's is Hungarian, and he was talking about almost the mythical status of Real Madrid to Hungarians because of Puskás, and how it is like huge in Hungary, and it's so aspirational in Hungary because of that connection. So yeah, that made me a little bit worried that we better get the finger out and get Dominik Szoboszlai's contract sorted out, because we don't need Madrid sniffing around there. So that has to be contract priority number one. And yes, I agree, and I'm being the next captain as well, mate. I do. Vavak Knives said, need to understand that this is a full restart and will require patience and time from the fans. I don't know if that's aimed at me in particular or, you know, just a broad statement, but I've already said personally, for me, I agree with exactly what you've said, and I am absolutely willing to be patient. For me, it was more a case of I just couldn't connect with Slot. I just didn't really, I didn't feel the connection. But when you see IRAOLA saying things like straight away, you know, he wants to win the fans over. I want to be one of you. This works wonders for me. And he's an emotional man, and football's emotional to him, but he's not emotional. It's exactly how I feel. You know, football provokes emotion to me that other things don't. So I'm buzzing for it. And for me, as long as when it comes to the business end of the season, we're in the knockout stage of the Champions League, we're still in the cup competitions, then it's about peaking at the right time. And, you know, we've learned from PSG over the last 2 seasons, you don't need to be in the top 8 of the Champions League to go on to win it. You just need to be there for the knockout rounds, and, you know, they peak at the right times. You'll see it in the World Cup as well. The team that goes on to win the World Cup, look at Argentina. You know, they lost some early game in that World Cup where people were scratching their heads and it was touch and go. But it's about peaking and getting everything together at the right time. And that's what I'm hoping for. That, yeah, we might have a bit of a rocky start. Maybe there'll be some disjointed performances, but when it clicks, that's when the fun really starts. Craig, would you part exchange MACCA for Valverde? No, because I love Fede Valverde. Let me say that, and I think United have been linked with him. But I think again we're gonna have he's what, 26, Valverde, 27. Am I right, or have I got that completely wrong age wise? I think we're going to see somebody being brought in the 22 to 24 kind of age category to be in the engine of that midfield. So I do like Valverde as a footballer. I think he's top class, but I just don't see that one as being a runner. It was interesting to see. Sorry, what's someone say? We can't sell MACCA. He's only 27. One bad season. I think you have to understand why he'd be being sold. And he's going to be 28 soon. And if you don't sell him now, you're probably never going to get a fee for him. And the way our club operates, we need energy. And he did just have one bad season, like you said. And that's more than fair. Because overall, his body of work has been more than good enough. But I've been saying this since last summer, that this summer was going to be the one that, from my understanding, MACCA could be available. And it's been borne out by Paul Joyce saying it again today, that McAllister could be sold. Then you have his dad coming out with very specifically worded things. You know, it's not going to be Liverpool kicking him out the door. I feel like this will be one of those where everybody feels it could be the right time for him to maybe go to, you know, a league, again, a climate maybe more that he's used to, and for us to get him at a peak value and reinvest it back into the squad. So I understand it. I really do. And I don't know whether we've seen the best of MACCA or whether he can come again. But I do know we've just come off a season where he looks so far away from what we're used to. Now, whether that's a one-off or not, I don't know. Grizzly said, bold statement. We finished top 2 with a trophy or 2, FA or Carabao. We have the players for heavy metal football. Flow will justify the price tag. Well, you know my take on Wirtz. I'm fully behind him. But I do have to say, he does have to up the game this year. You know, year 1 is fair enough. Everybody gets a bit of leeway in year 1, especially when you're coming from a new league. But yeah, himself and Isak really have to show their worth this season. MACCA didn't get unfit overnight. I really feel like you're not listening to me. Like, I really, like, listen to what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to say, get out of my club, Alexis McAllister. I love MACCA. But this is another one of those situations where I can only tell you what I believe is happening from what I know. It doesn't mean I want it to happen, because I wouldn't bat an eyelid if MACCA stayed and Liverpool gave him a new deal. No problem with that whatsoever. I love Alexis McAllister. But I can't sit here and just agree with you knowing what I know. And like I've said all the way for the last year, this is a summer that feels like McAllister's going to be sold. I don't know what else to say. It's not because of one season. It's because of the age profile and this. Because Liverpool have to reinvest in a squad. And you look around their squad and you have to think, okay, well, if we need to add more money to the budget, who can we move on? And realistically, the one for the most money that is probably the least impactful is McAllister. Because you'll get 60 to 70 million quid for him. You're not going to get that from many others throughout the squad that you want or are willing to move on. So, that could be a difference maker. But of course I understand people want MACCA to stay as well. Jesus, I mean, he's a very easy guy to like. And I've enjoyed having him in a Liverpool shirt. I enjoyed him when he was at Brighton. So yeah, it's not like I want him to go, but I'm just telling you the logic behind it from the club's perspective. Because if he signed another 4-year deal and he was 32 then, or let's say he moved on to 30, 31, Liverpool aren't going to receive the maximum value there. And in the model and in the way that IRAOLA wants to play, young, hungry players are going to be part of that. So let's just see how it all pans out. Did I read this one out, Grizzly? A bold statement, finished top 2 with a trophy or 2, FA or Carabao Cup. We have the players of heavy metal football. Flow will justify the price tag. Fua said if he gets rid of last minute goals, improves fitness and gets the best out of Wirtz, Isak and Kirk, surely that's enough to topple a mediocre Arsenal team. But again, it's important to remember that Arsenal won't stand still this summer. We're going to go out to try and do our bits in the market, but so are they, so are United, so are other teams. But I think there's one thing we'll all agree on. That this Liverpool team underachieved this season for the quality it has in it. And even if we can get this team performing to where it should have been at, we'll be far more competitive. And who knows what way the league goes next season. Will it still be as physically demanding? Will it still be as set-piece oriented? Who knows? But I'm intrigued to find out. And I do know one thing. Anfield's about to become a fortress again. Anfield's about to become loud again. Anfield's about to become a horrible place for opposition teams to visit again. And that's a good thing. That goes in the win column, definitely. Oh, Bilal, why are you off again, dude? I thought we put this stuff to bed, Bilal. Oh, silly man. Silly man. You just wasted a fiver, Bilal. There's no need for it, dude. But just to remark on your little comment, you can think what you want. Numbers don't lie. The numbers tell the story. I'm the king. I'm number 1. Top of the fucking charts. You can hate me as much as you want, but you'll be hating me from a position of knowing that we're number 1. So, Bilal, I thought we'd pass by this, mate, but it is what it is, bro. But it's not my fault we're popular. Do you know what I mean, dude? What can I do about it? Do you know, it's my cross to bear, this charismatic, charming bastard that you see in front of you. You know, it is what it is, dude. But that's okay. Here's an idea for you. Why don't you just spend your super chat money over there then to make somebody else happy? I think really, Bilal, you know, and I've said this before, mate, I think there's some homoerotic bullshit going on here. I think, you know, you're sitting there. I don't really, might be kids watching, so I don't get too specific, but let's just say you wear nipple clamps, don't you? Let's be honest, dude. Let's be honest, Bilal. Like, deep down, you're sitting there, you like a bit of pain, don't you, Bilal? That's okay. You know, I'm not here to judge, dude. You know? You don't get to the top of the fucking mountain, Bilal, you know, without having a little something. But I thought we'd beaten this, Bilal. I thought we'd beaten this. I enjoy our little tete-a-tetes, mate. I do. But I thought we'd come around to realising the awesomeness that was on display. Let's keep moving. Doo-doo. Right. So Carragher said it's worrying Liverpool picked IRAOLA over Alonso. I can't lie, even though he's a Liverpool legend, Carragher's such a tosspot. Well, I won't get to the levels of calling Carragher a tosspot because I respect Jamie Carragher as a former Liverpool player and I loved him when he was at the club. But I do disagree on a lot of things these days with Jamie Carragher. And look, I think in one way it would have been an easy win for the club to have appointed Alonso. But I'm not just saying this, I believe it. The reasoning behind not appointing him is sound logic because of the brand of football and because of the players that we have and the philosophy, the way we want to play. That isn't the way that Xabi Alonso sets his teams up. And it doesn't mean that Alonso won't be successful or won't do well in the Premier League. But I understand the club's logic in going the direction that they did, and I'm fine with it. Same way I would have been fine if Xabi Alonso came in. But I just want to get behind the new coach and see where we go from there. But what I would say, and not that Carragher needs to get any advice from me or anything, but I feel like lately he's scoring a few own goals. I've seen him singing Arsenal songs with Arsenal fans and just saying a few things that I just think, what's going on here? Like, what? Why? You know, it's yeah. That's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to have a pop at Jamie Carragher because I idolised Jamie Carragher when he was playing for Liverpool. And I'll never forget the shift he put in that Champions League final in Istanbul. I'll never forget it. It was awesome. But I do strongly disagree with a lot of things he says these days. Craig's got his mojo back. Missed the smile, bud. Well, even the trolls are getting it a different way now. Like I've said, there's no anger in me anymore because you're getting a happy Craig. So there's no anger in me. Trolls can come in and have a pop, but it'll be laughed off and they'll be bantered back. It's as simple as that. So if they want to waste their time and money, crack on. But, I'm enjoying being a Liverpool fan again. And I always enjoy the community and the channel. So, yeah, it's good. It's good to feel positive. It's good to feel optimistic for the new season. New chant, Craig. La. No. Unless we get a bit of a La Bamba or something in there. Maybe. When will Josh Abe be called up? So I believe he'll be going on the pre-season tour, from what I can gather, which is great. He's going to sign his, what do they call them? What was it? Academy? No, not academy contracts. What do they call the contract before the professional contract? I can't remember what they call it these days. That's being signed. Then he'll sign a pro contract at 17. But ultimately, that's another bonus because I really thought we'd lost him. I thought he was destined to go to Arsenal. A scholarship, that's the one. Yeah, thank you. Scholarship contract. So yeah, and look, he turned down a lot of money. Like there were some people offering 50 G's a week on the table for him. But thankfully, and he must be surrounded by good family members as well because they looked at the pathway and the best way to get him. And Liverpool have shown him that they can give him that pathway, and it just feels like another good day for the club. Did you see Semenyo's interview? I love his story about Iriola telling him to try things on the field and to be himself. I've seen lots of little clips from Antoine Semenyo talking about Iriola and training at Bournemouth and stuff like that. And it's all positive, yeah, it is. It's all positive, and that's what we will get. We'll get somebody who wants to play brave football, who wants to play high energy football, and it's going to be fascinating to see if he does make any adjustments really from what he did at Bournemouth coming into Liverpool, or what he's going to do with the higher caliber of player that he has here. Maybe that he thought maybe would be a little bit too far for some of the guys at Bournemouth, but most importantly, he improves people. He improves players, and that shouldn't be overlooked here. That is something that I'm sure was hugely appealing to Richard Hughes and Liverpool as well. Out of Messi, Neymar and CR7, who do you think will have the best World Cup individually? Oh God. So I'm kind of split between Ronaldo and Messi, because in one sense, Ronaldo always scores goals. But Messi's used to playing in those conditions in the States, having, played in the MLS now at Inter Miami. I think maybe Ronaldo might score more. Maybe. But I think Mbappe is the one I would say will probably finish top of the goal scoring charts. And I did stick a tenner on him to France to win it and him to be the top scorer. But out of them, maybe just edge with Ronaldo. But I don't think any of them are going to be the big stars of the World Cup, other than the attraction, of course, that they bring to football fans. Time to bring Darwin home. He ran through walls for the team when he played. Yeah, he ran through walls, but he also kicked the ball too far away from the rectangular thing that he was supposed to put it in. So no, for me, it's absolutely not time to bring Darwin home. If you can't get into the Al Hilal team, you're not getting into the Liverpool team. It's as simple as that for me. So no, it's not time to bring Darwin home. It's time to get the next generation. It's time to get the next great Liverpool players through. And I don't regret having Darwin at the club. I understand wholeheartedly why we gave that a go, and it could have been impeccable. It could have been genius. It could have been amazing. But it wasn't, and that's okay too. That's okay. It wasn't from a lack of goodwill from anyone. Darwin's an honest guy, he tried his best. It just was one of them things that didn't really match up, unfortunately. But I do think he more than has the calibre to go and do something elsewhere. But I think if I'm Darwin, I'm looking at Serie A, somewhere like that for my next move, and I think that would suit him. Just not back to Liverpool. We need to have a fresh start here and moving forward and returning to the old ways. No, just not for me anyway. But again, Red Army, appreciate you, my man, and we don't always have to agree, dude. Outside of Bowen, I can't think of any other senior that would fit. Thoughts? Hope you and the family are well. What's TWs? Excuse, I don't know what you mean by TWs. I was even just trying to think of wingers around in general that we could look at, and there is the likes of Akliouche at Monaco and a few other names. Like, I don't know the guy. Who was the guy we spoke about the other day? We were linked to another French club player the other day. I can't remember who it was, but I know I didn't know anything about him anyway. But look, the club will be across all of this, and they will certainly have a whole list of names. Story today from Dominic King said, will Mamardashi's skill set marry up with what Iriola wants, and he could be vulnerable to a sale, or will he be vulnerable to a sale? David Ornstein, though, the big news today was from David Ornstein saying Liverpool make contact with RB Leipzig as Jan Diamonde's pursuit steps up. Liverpool currently in the strongest position on the player side if the 19-year-old winger moves at Leipzig, determined not to sell. Paris Saint-Germain's interest remains firm but less advanced at present. So this is where Liverpool do have to push, because if they're winning the battle with the player and they've, got him on side, then they need to crack on with it, because we can't let anybody steal a march on us here if he's the number one target. Now, on Fabrizio Romano and Barcola, he gave a bit of an update. He said, Bradley Barcola and Yan Diamonde's futures evolving with movements on the market. Barcola can leave PSG in the case of a good offer, as Arsenal, Liverpool and other top clubs are involved in the race. Liverpool, Paris Saint-Germain are both working on Yan Diamonde deals. Reds offer the best salary so far. Talks are on. That was the one, Keane. Yes, Matheus Fernandes Pardo. That was the guy. I know absolutely nothing about him, but yes, that was certainly the name that I was trying to think of, the Lille winger. Thank you guys for that one in the chat. Where's this one? Super Scarlet Spider said, with a new coach, do we look a disrespectful time? Soboslai show over VVD. Do we look a disrespectful time? I don't know what you mean by that, mate. Do you mean, do we look to change the captain? I would say no. Virgil is the Liverpool captain, if that's the question. Virgil's the Liverpool captain, and I wouldn't be looking to change that. I would promote Dominic Szoboszlai to vice captain, and then, of course, when Virgil's contract is up, he seems like and feels like a natural successor to me. IRAOLA is head coach or manager? Head coach, Rob. Head coach. Who starts at right back next season? I don't know. I don't, because I'd like Palestra, but I think Inter Milan have done a lot of groundwork there. And after that, I really don't know where Liverpool are looking. I don't think it's going to be Frimpong. So I don't know is the answer. Benz gave a few names on the podcast earlier on. A few names from the French division and a couple of others. But honestly, mate, it is a position that your guess is as good as mine at this point. I really don't know, but I think we will see names pushed forward now soon enough. Did you see the report in Build, by the way? You may have seen this posted by Anfield Watch earlier on, but they posted to say, a report from Build claims that Arne Slot alienated some Liverpool players with bizarre comments. According to Sport Build, objective criticism became mixed with arrogance and personal barbs. For example, he needled summer signings with questions like, did you win the Premier League? When analysing players of Bundesliga experience, he made comments along the lines of, you can play like that in Germany. It's just fucking weird. Like, that's just weird. Did you win the Premier League? Did you? I mean, imagine a grown man saying that to a player. It's just, it's almost unfathomable to me that was being said. Just felt really strange. Dylan said, captain after Virgil and Alisson leave, got to be Szoboszlai, don't you think? Yes, I do. I agree with you 100%. Right, so we asked, will IRAOLA be a success at Liverpool? 95% say yes, 5% say no. Right, I want to go with this one. So, question for you. I've had this dream, hope, thought that Barcola and Diamonde could potentially be possible. But I wanted to see what you think. So, question is, can we get both Diamonde and Barcola this summer? Let me know on the poll what you think, yes or no. I know it seems greedy. I know, it is greedy. And it would be a shit ton of money. But the man's allowed to dream, right? And that would be incredible. Incredible, and then I would say, if Gakpo doesn't work out, you can look to sell Gakpo down the line. Joe, how are we, bro? Lovely to see you win, my man. Hope you're well. Said, evening all, so excited. His interview was great. It was. It was exactly what you wanted to hear, Joe, wasn't it? To the point, and said the things that you'd want to hear. Is there any possibility he can get Salah to stay? No, I don't think so. And I just think it's the right time. Once he made the decision, I just think now, again, like we said about Darwin as well, just move forward now for the club. No time to look back. Just move ahead. Everyone's made their decisions. The club have changed coach. Robbo's going to Spurs. Mohamed Salah's leaving. I say we just plough on. IRAOLA is a hard trainer, like Klopp. This will tell us what players want to be here and improve rather than take an easy ride. No early holidays. Yep. And honestly, I remember Chris Williams in a post said, watch when the new coach comes in and Arna's gone. You hear players start to use phrases like enjoying training again and the vibe around the club's great. And I am looking forward to seeing those things. And yes, it will be hard. But it's like anything else. You know yourselves, if you go through a hard workout or something, in the time it's horrible. But afterwards, and it's been a fucking while since I've been through one. But afterwards, there's a sense of accomplishment and a sense of pride. And I do think the fitter you are, the better you're prepared, the more swagger you'll have, because you know when you need to go to the well. You know when you need that extra 5 or 10%, that it's there, that you've been through the hard yards in pre-season. So I'm looking forward to seeing the running charts this year and seeing Liverpool back up near the top of it and not being outrun by almost every team in the league. Cameron, watch all your streams. Love the channel, bro. WFM. I love you through in WFM, Cameron, my man. And thank you. Really, really kind of you, dude. I'm incredibly grateful, as is Connor, for all the support that we get here on the channel. It means the world to us, as do all of you guys in here. So thank you, Cameron. See, Bilal, this is where I just zip past your comment, mate, on my side. But, we tried. We tried, Bilal. We tried to make it work. But, apparently you're intent on just being a weirdo. Do you think City lose Haaland to Barca? No. There's not a fucking hope Barca can... Sorry, Cameron, that they can afford Haaland. I know the Real Madrid... I say presidential candidate. He's about as much chance of becoming Real Madrid president as I do. Yeah, so I don't think so. No, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility of him ending up at Real Madrid. Maybe not this summer, but I think that's always been in the grand plan for him and his father and their career. So I know he signed, what was it, a 10-year deal or something with Man City, but like anything else, I think everybody has a number and a price, and the day Haaland wakes up and decides that he wants to go and play elsewhere, I think it happens. Charles said, excited now IRAOLA's in. Thoughts on signings: Wharton, Schlotterbeck, Robinson, Coyote, Barcola, Kamara and Somerville. FFP might impact. You don't need to worry about FFP. Now, that doesn't mean that we've got all the money in the world, but we aren't in any FFP area of concern at all. Like, we could spend another 200 million quid and not be impacted by FFP, and I mean net. It's important to point out that yes, we did spend a shit ton last summer, but we did recoup a lot, and in the end, Arsenal had a bigger net spend than us. But this summer needs to be about making sure that we have that depth that Arsenal had for the season. And to me, that is a big reason why they got over the line, is that in every position, they had good options, good strength from the bench. So I don't think we've any concerns about that. On your list, I just don't like Crescencio Somerville. I don't think he's good enough. Apart from that, I don't really mind any of the names on your list. I'm not sure what happens with Wharton at this point. I'm uncertain if he still gets signed or not. The senior footballing figure that I spoke with today, he loves the idea of Liverpool going to get Wharton and thinks it would be a great fit. Again, I didn't ask, could I use his name, so I can't talk about it. I forgot to ask in the email exchange, but yeah, really excited about it. But I don't know whether Wharton's still in the plans or not. I think he should be, but let's wait and see. Is IRAOLA head coach or manager? Head coach. But there's nothing to say his next contract in 2 years or 18 months. Wouldn't have him promoted up to manager. Livramento was a good right back and left back. Oh, mate. I love Tino Livramento. Would love him. But can you imagine that phone call? Yeah. Hi, Newcastle. Yeah, no, it's Liverpool again. Hello? Hello? I'd imagine it would go something like that. But yeah, unfortunately, I think if Tino Livramento was to move, the name that's always been kind of linked there has been Manchester City. You know the way I said about Elliot Anderson and Manchester City? Well, it's kind of always been thought that it's the same for Tino Livramento, unfortunately. Make Anfield hostile again. IRAOLA bringing the real Craig out and smiling is a winner for me. Still love your Tesco stocker cart insula. Your Tesco stocker / cart insula. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I have no idea what you mean by the Tesco stocker cart insula. That part's gone over my head, dude. But yeah, look, as I said, I'm easy to read as a human being. If I'm happy, my face will tell you. If I'm not happy, my face will tell you. George said, should we offload by Cecic? I'd rather have Elliot. Well, the interesting thing on by Cecic, which makes it an even more complicated situation, is he's got 1 year to go on his deal, which means you either extend it and loan him out, extend it and keep him at the club, or roll the dice on another player walking out the door for nothing in a year's time. So, well, of course, you could sell him this summer as well, but I really don't know. That's the truth. I don't know what to expect for Stefan Bajcetic. He will, I'm sure, be part of the preseason camp, but his contract situation makes it interesting. Anders said this summer will not get Isak in shape for the Premier League. During World Cup, there'll be pre-match training and then 3 weeks off. Not the tough, coherent training he needs before next season. I hope I'm wrong. But think of it another way though, Anders. What training can't do is replicate real match environments to the extent playing in the World Cup will. So that will sharpen up his 90 minutes. So he'll be coming into pre-season after his holiday, having got more minutes under his belt, and that will benefit Liverpool. And then it's about getting the wide players in and getting the service to him, and him getting his limbs on the end of them. So I do think, in one way, I get your point, but in another way, he's getting match time there at the World Cup, and that's important as well. Craig O'Clock Dan said, get him signed, now we can dream again. Also, every time a troll buys a chat, you should put it in a special troll fund and really treat yourself. Maybe, yeah, maybe. Do you know what? We're going to be launching our June giveaway tomorrow, and I think you're going to love this one. I'll give you a hint on what it might be. I already have one of them. So that's the hint I'll give you. When we scanned around the studio in the little video, one of the things we're giving away is already in my studio, and we're going to give away the exact same thing. We'll announce it tomorrow. Connor's doing up the artwork and that for the giveaway, but make sure that you are subscribed to the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp. So make sure, I think, is it this one? Yeah, make sure, scan that QR code. We're very close to 20,000 people in our WhatsApp community, and that is where we'll be putting in all of our transfer news, stuff like that, links to our videos, podcasts. So make sure that you are in there. You'll also find the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp link in the description of this stream. And we're like 300 or 400 away from 20k, and I'm not going to lie, I'm so looking forward to it hitting 20k and seeing that number. So if you haven't, please do. Who do you think will struggle under IRAOLA? Gakpo. See, we debated this on the podcast actually, Sagan, and Bentz actually thinks that Gakpo might flourish under IRAOLA. Who will struggle? Frimpong. That's because I still don't understand that signing fully. I got to reiterate, it's not because I don't rate Frimpong. I just don't know how he works in the way we play. So I've never really understood why we made that signing. because, he's not a right back and we don't play wing back and he's not good enough as a right winger. So I think maybe him, because again, we're getting to the point of, do we ever really see a starting 11 with Frimpong's name in it on a regular basis? I struggle to, but again, I'd love to be wrong on it because he seems a really positive guy. And read something earlier on today, actually. Let me see if I have it in my notes. Yeah. Dominic King in the Telegraph said, the last 12 months have drained Jeremy Frimpong. The defender has never had muscle injuries before, but had 3 hamstring layoffs and never got into any kind of rhythm. He's adamant that he'll be better next season. Well, at least I hope he can put his injury concerns behind him, because I can imagine the frustration for a player when you have an injury-plagued season. And by the way, while we're talking about players, let's congratulate Dominic Szoboszlai, who has been announced as the Standard Chartered Liverpool Men's Player of the Season for this season. And I don't think many of us would disagree with that, would we? I think it's a very fair award. Also, Ben spoke this earlier on, exclusive, and again, credit Anfield Watch and Ben for this, exclusive, understand that Patrick Farkas is in advanced talks to join Liverpool. The 19-year-old will be returning to the club after leaving 4 years ago. He would become the 5th Hungarian on Liverpool's books alongside his brother Eric. Another bit of news from Christian Falk, again relating to Liverpool. Liverpool now have the best chance to sign teenage Hertha Berlin midfielder Kenneth Eichhorn, with Bayern Munich having ceased negotiations with the club. So again, Liverpool looking good. Dominic King said, will Mamardashvili's skill set marry up to what IRAOLA wants? He could be vulnerable to a sale. So a little bit more news there. Is there any other bits I missed out on? 1 sec. Did you see Lewis Steele on his YouTube channel said that he thinks Slot may be waiting for the Netherlands national team job after the World Cup? He said, I've heard that he might be holding out for the Dutch job after the World Cup. Whether it is, I don't know. Whether it's AC Milan, Ajax or whoever, I think he deserves a good job, by the way. It'd be interesting if he did take up the Dutch national team job. Yeah, that would be an interesting appointment. Other than that, it is going to be intriguing to see where he could end up. I mean, I know Fulham were certainly interested in Slot, but I think they might not be able to attract him to the job. But yeah, where do you guys think he ends up? Would you take Bernardo Silva, squad depth? I wouldn't, but I do like him as a footballer. I don't think we could. I don't think we need him at Liverpool, and I think he'd probably want a high wage as well, and he seems almost nailed on to go over to Spain. But look, he's a shithouse, but he's a good footballer, Bernardo Silva. Corbin said, taking Xhaka, no, we know what he's done Sunderland. What? Taking Xhaka, now we know what he's done Sunderland. Oh, you want to get Xhaka? Oh, no thanks. I'd pass on Granit Xhaka. Model Pro, but no. Not for me. Not at Liverpool at this particular moment. Itachi said, welcome, Andoni. What a man. What a first interview. I'm optimistic and upbeat for the first time since August. Time to unlock the players. I'm as happy as you, Craig. Much love. So look, is there anybody in the chat who doesn't feel confident in Andoni Iraola and thinks maybe Liverpool have made a mistake? Because I think it's important that we allow everybody to have a viewpoint on this one as well. So if there's anyone that thinks it's a wrong appointment, do let us know exactly what you're thinking as well. Drew said, is Schlotterbeck, Coyote, Kamara, Scott and Diamonde a good realistic summer? Worried Wharton might be too expensive. Mate, I'd be very happy with that summer, Drew. Schlotterbeck, absolutely big thumbs up from me. Coyote, I would understand that signing. Kamara, don't know enough about him, but others that do think it's a good idea. Scott, well, look, Alex Scott would be someone known very well to Andoni Iraola. And then he said Diamonde. I think, yeah, those names to me, mate, seem more than credible. And on the Wharton thing, on the Wharton thing, Not really sure. I think 60 million was a gentleman's agreement number that was mentioned, but let's wait and see. Cassie said 38% win percentage. Yes, bro, but he hasn't been at a top club. You can't just throw on win percentages. He's at a club like Bournemouth, and he got them 6th in the Premier League and into the Europa League. So, when you're at lesser clubs, you're obviously naturally going to have a lesser win percentage. I don't think that is anything that you can use as a stick to hit the manager with or the new coach with, because it's not a fair comparison. He would absolutely be expected to have a far higher win percentage at Liverpool, and he'll know that. Where are we at? This one is from Red Jaden. Is it just me, or has IRAOLA found a better connection with the fans on day one than Slot did in 2 years despite winning the league? Well, you can see the vibe on social media straight away has gone ratcheted up into fans being happy. You look at his interview as well when he was leaving Bournemouth, or his time out there on the pitch when he was talking. He gets it. He just gets it. And he comes from a club that is all about passion, and passion about your area, passion about your upbringing, passion about your people. And I think IRAOLA gets that at Liverpool. He understands it, and he mentioned it about being an athletic club and coming up in the Basque region. So he gets it. He understands the tribalism aspect. He understands the connection with Liverpool fans that he's going to have to need. And he's made good steps on day one to extend that olive branch. Lucas Phillips said, "Hey Craig, if the season's going well, do you think VVD will sign a new contract or be offered one? Feel he can play at the top until he's 40? Oh, such a tough one. And the honest answer is I don't know. I don't know where the club's head will be at, but it would have to be a pretty good fucking season. Because let's play this out, and let's say you bought in Schlotterbeck, you have Xhaka, you have Leone. I think then you've done your planning, your succession planning, and that is something I'm adamant we have to do. I don't like this idea of Van Dijk finishes, then we go get the best centre back, because everybody in the world knows you're shopping at that point. I would rather get him in now, and I would rather get Nico Schlotterbeck in now, and then see how this season goes. That's the way I'd look at it. But there's no denying, I agree with you, that Virgil could play well into his late 30s. But I just don't know of any indication that Liverpool will extend. Or not. I just don't know. It is actually probably the fairest answer. Itachi said, "Finally, the Arna time came officially to an end. Never want these dark days again. IRAOLA will win our hearts." Look, I think now we can just draw a line under that, It wasn't a nice time. I'm sure it wasn't a nice time for the players. It wasn't a nice time for the fans. It wasn't a nice time for Slot. But it's over. It's done. And everybody can start anew, and we move forward together. So, yeah, just look forward to the future. Look forward to what's coming. Psychotic said, Klopp, Benitez vibes from his first interview. Well, definitely more Klopp than Benitez for me. I mean, Rafa's not the most emotional of dudes either, but I loved Rafa as well. Obviously, Istanbul, how could you not? Any right back catch a right in the market? Look, the obvious one is Tino Livramento, but I just don't see it as a runner. Palestra, another one. After that, I don't really know too much. Even, talking about it with Benson Lewis earlier on, we weren't exactly tripping over ourselves with names that we could think of for right back that Liverpool would look to bring in. Because we don't also know the extent of the Bradley situation. So it's really tough to know on a few points. I see a few shouts for Coyote in the chat as well. Again, more than reasonable. Mike, how are you? Mike Maroney said, Wirtz, Frimpong, Kirkes, Isak, Rio, Hugo, Grav will benefit most from IRAOLA. Teams half built already for IRAOLA, in my humble opinion. Your thoughts? I agree with the half built thing, yeah. And it's weird, Mike, because psychologically, I'm far more open now to the term of rebuild or transition than I would have been under Slot. And that was because it was year 3. And I always felt it very weird that they chose to do very little in year 1 and then rushed through year 2. And it did feel, I'm not going to lie, it felt exciting last summer. But as the season went on, it did become apparent that we had half done the job. So yes, now with a new coach, I think we're going to see better from these players, and excited to see what we do in the market as well. But I agree with you on the half team. I think that's pretty fair. Carbon said, Craig, I'm excited about where Liverpool is going for the near future, and I think we'll be the first team to do a quadruple. Ooh, big bold call, that one. I'm also excited about my Knicks if we win. We're tearing the city down. I'll have to gloss over the New York Knicks thing because I don't watch basketball, so I'll have to just say I wish you the very best with that one. But yeah, I'm excited as well. And a quadruple, look, there's a reason it hasn't been done. It's a damn hard thing to do. But look, if we're even in a conversation point this season for big trophies, that'll do. That'll do because, you know, we didn't even get past the quarterfinal this season, and we were nowhere in the league close to being at the top of the table or fighting for the title. I hated how we played under Slot, but I don't hate the guy. I feel he's a good guy. Let history remember him with good. We're Liverpool. I think that's more than fair, dude. Look, he handled the Diogo Jota situation and the tragedy impeccably. Couldn't fault him, not a bit. He never said anything incendiary, really. He did say things I disagreed with and things that I thought he was delusional about. But yeah, I never once thought that he was an evil man or a horrible man. And I do think you're right. Time will reflect more positively on this situation. But it just felt like the right time. Drew said, I think my midfield signing preferences are Scott and Wharton. I'm gladly take Barcola if we sold Gakpo, but worried that it's too much change. I think we need an out-and-out 6, and I don't see Wharton as an out-and-out 6. So for me, it'd have to be a Wharton and a Sangar, or a Wharton and a Kamara, or an Alex Scott and a Sangar, or a Scott and a Kamara. I don't see Wharton as that guy. You know, he's another, I don't want to say similar to Gravenberch, but a lot of attributes of being able to move the ball, clever player, but probably not a destroyer in the sense that I don't see him sweeping up in front of the back four or cutting out counter-attacks in the same way of a Fabinho. What could he have said about Jota that would have been disagreeable? It's not what he said, it's just the way he carried himself and the club. You know, because no football club, no team, no family should have had to have gone through that. And it was a big, big dark cloud over our club. And it was a painful moment. And he navigated it well. So it's not that he said the right things or didn't say the right things. It's just that he conducted himself with dignity and class. And in that moment, that's what required. So, you know, fair play to him for that. Mike, how are you, my man? Thank you. I think this was the one you were looking to put in initially. Danny Munoz, proper right back, Craig, and scores goals. And a South American. He's Colombian, isn't he? He'd be interested. He's a bit of a marauding right back, all right. But again, we're talking about Palace having a new coach in, and they're not going to want to be fleeced of all their talent either. You know, they might want some money in to, of course, try to fund some deals and stuff, but they're not going to want to be absolutely rinsed because they're probably going to lose a striker and, you know, a couple other positions. So not really sure how possible that might be, and I've certainly not seen any links to him. I hope Soboslai stays and gets a fair deal. I hope he stays and signs a new deal as well. Without a doubt, he is the number one transfer or contract priority for me for Liverpool Football Club at the minute, without a shadow of a doubt. PSG won the quad last season, but league downplayed. But they don't have a quad. So I know what you mean, but the unique thing, or one of the unique things about England, is the two domestic cup competitions. If I'm not wrong, don't they just have the Coupe de France and then they have the Super Cup, but that's like our charity shield. So, you know, the quadruple is for us is Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup. And that's the unique thing about English football, is there's not many that have the two domestic cup competitions. Diamonde against France tonight. What a player. I haven't seen the highlights or anything yet. I'm certainly going to look at them later on, but it's exciting times. And, you know, to hear David Ornstein say that at this moment Liverpool are, well, I don't want to misquote him, so I'm going to give you his exact words because I don't want to misquote the man. So he said, Liverpool make contact with RB Leipzig as the Diamonde pursuit steps up. Liverpool currently in the strongest position on the player side. If 19-year-old winger moves, Leipzig are determined not to sell. PSG interest remains firm, but less advanced at present. So certainly are trying and pushing. Callum Warren said, happy IRAOLA day all. He was made for Liverpool. I'm glad to see so many people feeling positive about it. I think the interview certainly helped a lot. It really did. It felt like, yeah, he gets it straight away from day one. What do you mean MACCA to be sold? I mean MACCA to be sold. I mean, it's... I don't understand the question, mate. Like, you're asking me what do I mean about MACCA to be sold? It's fairly, without trying to be rude about it, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'll give you where I got the talking point from, if you'd like, but and I'm not trying to sound like a dick. I promise you I'm not. But yeah, it's exactly as it says. Paul Joyce said Alexis McAllister could be moved on this summer, and I've known for months that this is probably going to happen. That MACCA is going to be sold for the reasons that I've spelled out over the last few seasons, or the last season. He's at the age profile now where it's probably the last time you're going to get a big fee. And it also just feels like, and I have to say this is just gut instinct, not information. It feels like maybe he wants that move to La Liga, or, you know, to warmer climates. Even the way his father said something along the lines of, we haven't spoken publicly with any other clubs. It just all, just all feels like that's trending in that direction now. And with Joyce putting that out tonight as well, you know, it really does feel like this could be the summer. Atletico's name popped up last night around MACCA, but I'm not really sure how serious that is or not. And I know it's going to be something that not everybody agrees with, by the way, and we touched on this earlier on in the stream. I'm not saying everybody has to agree with it. All I can say to you is this feels like where it's going. Up to you if you think it's the right or wrong move. Just wondering what evidence you had. So, do you ask David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, or anybody else what evidence they have? This pisses me off because nobody would dare come into a stream and ask Ornstein or Romano where they get their information, because, of course, one, they wouldn't even respond to you, which is the difference here. And secondly, nobody can tell you. My credibility should speak for itself at this point if I say something. If it doesn't, no problem, but nobody's ever going to tell you exactly where they get information from, because that'll be the last time they ever get that information. And I see a question, is he definitely going? Well, of course, it depends on the right offer. You know, if nobody comes in knocking the door and putting money down, then no, he's not going to go. But if the right offer comes in, you know, it feels like things are lining up that, we could be we could go in that direction. But I don't know where Paul Joyce got his information from either. But all I can say is I've been saying that exact thing. I said there's a few things I've said that are coming to light now. I told you about the Elliot Anderson Manchester City stuff 10 months ago. Alexis McAllister I've been talking about all season, as this is going to be the summer where he could get moved on. So, I'm not surprised by these stories, but again, I understand if people don't like it. I totally get that. Yeah, I totally get it, because I like MACCA. As I've said before, like I've bought myself a signed Alexis McAllister shirt to hang in the house. I love MACCA, and I'll be a bit sad if he goes. But I understand it from a business perspective. If Liverpool feel like they need to finish this rebuild properly and need to fund it somehow, because the numbers have to work as well, and that's where I do have some sympathies. Oh, something I wanted to say actually. I seen yesterday about Angry Ginge and his mum's place burning down. I just want to say how sorry I was to see it and read it. I know what that would have meant to him to be able to do that for his mum as well. And I don't know the lad, but if he ever needs a chat around, like I hope he knows he can bell me. He definitely has my number. I know that because he's rang me before. But yeah, heartbroken to see it from, and I hope him and his family are okay. I mean that sincerely. I was delighted to see him when I'm a celebrity and do so well, and I think we all dream about those type of things, don't we? To be able to look after our parents like that, or to give back to somebody that's given you so much in life. So just sending him love, him and his family, and yeah, I hope it all works out for him. I really, really do. Where are we at? This one. Can we not use by Chechic or Endo as our six? We could, but realistically, they're just not. They're not good enough. Well, by Chechic, sorry, I don't know. By Chechic, it's a fitness thing more than anything. But Endo, look, he's a solid, good pro, but he's ultimately not good enough, really, is he? So I don't know what happens with Endo. Maybe he does stick around. Maybe Endo, feels he get a better chance under IRAOLA, but it still won't change us going into the market for a proper number six. Fletcher Dakin said, Craig, I'm 17, had a job interview today. Hopefully it's successful. Fingers crossed for you, my friend. Do let us know if it works out for you, but I'll be thinking of you. I don't mean that in any kind of weird, dirty kind of way. I mean, we'll be hoping for a good outcome for you. Is DIAMONDE off the table then before the World Cup? Probably, because it feels like there's some complicated factors in it. So obviously you have the fact that Leipzig want to extend and keep him, but then you have the agency stuff as well. And I think there's a case in the Court of Arbitration for Sport between Rock Nation and his old agency, which has to be resolved as well. So there's just a few things that make you feel like you might get a lot of parts of it done before the World Cup. You might get an agreement, but I wouldn't expect it to be signed and sealed before the World Cup. No. Does Gravenberg have the lungs and grit for IRAOLA ball? Lungs, yes. Grit, don't know. Yeah, don't know is the honest answer. Look, I think Ryan Gravenberch is an incredibly talented midfielder, and there's a lot of positive attributes in his game. But does he have the fight? Does he have that dog in him? Oh, I really don't know, and I don't know is the fairest answer, because nobody was really showing it last season, were they? And when I think about Gravenberch, silky, smooth, languid, technically good. These are the things that come to mind. But shithouse, roughhouse, they don't initially pop into my mind now. Hey Craig, what's going on with Leo that nobody wants him but Turkish teams? I mean, we can get him and put him in the right firm of mind to be better and teach him the Liverpool way. He just doesn't seem to have the work rate off the ball. That's it. You know, he's a flash Harry, and he has moments where he's brilliant, but it's just not consistent enough. And it's been something that I know has irked AC Milan fans. Um, so I've never ever even expected our name to be in the mix because I'd be worried if we were in the mix. What's this one? Florentino Perez. On Tuesday, I will make a massive offer to a Champions League club for a superstar player. It will be a record bid. I will pay at least 150 million euros. Um, Apparently, people think that's João Neves that he's talking about, but I don't know. Interesting. It's always funny seeing all these presidential promises before the elections at Spanish clubs. Yeah, look, I don't know who it is. I haven't got a clue. Your guess is as good as mine. I see João Neves is a name that's been thrown around there, but I haven't got a clue. You know, I wouldn't even want to try and guess it because I haven't got a clue. I see France lost 2-1 to the Ivory Coast. Yeah, but they're pre-World Cup friendly, so I wouldn't really put too much stock in it. I mean, I seen even the Netherlands lost to Algeria the other night 1-0 as well. So, yeah, I don't know. Who do you guys think it is that he's talking about? Because if he's saying 150 million euros, that's not going to get you Haaland. Like, that's not even a conversation starter for Man City because that's what, about 120 million pound. You mean you're not getting Haaland for 120 million pound? There's not a fucking chance, especially with the length of contract. So yeah, I can't see it being Haaland because the numbers just don't add up. Alvarez. There's absolutely no way I think Atleti do business at Real Madrid for Julian Alvarez. I think Barcelona are the ones really trying there, and PSG's name's in the mix as well. Um, do you know what? He's probably talking about Curtis Jones. That's probably what he's talking about. He's probably heard the Curtis Jones off to Inter Milan and he thought, no, I'm not having that. CJ's coming here. He's got to be partying with Trent and Canada and Jude Bellingham. So obviously, Florentino, look, mate, will reluctantly, begrudgingly accept your 150 million euro offer for Curtis Jones. We'll do so with a heavy heart and we'll try to contain the laughter. But we accept your 150 million euro offer for Curtis Jones. What was that? You want to throw a player or two in? Well, do you know what I mean? If you want a little bit of Arlene Tchouameni and 110 million euro, and we have a deal. Scenes now when we wake up on Tuesday and it's like Florentino Perez submits 150 million euro offer for Dominic Szoboszlai. What if it's Szoboszlai? What would be the minimum you would want if he wanted to go? I can't even comprehend it. I can't. Yeah, no, I can't comprehend the idea of Dominic Szoboszlai leaving. It does not compute in my brain. Yeah, I'd be angry. Just angry, 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 angry. Because I don't know. I've just got too much invested emotionally into Szoboszlai succeeding at Liverpool that I can't even bring myself to say a number out loud because it doesn't really matter. 100 million, 150 million, 200 million, I don't really care because I know the skill set he has and I know I'm expecting him to push on again. So, yeah, there isn't a number. And that's the truth. There just isn't. But from this summer onwards, well, the end of this summer onwards, you know, if there's no contract agreed with Szoboszlai by the start of the new season, you're starting to get into concerning territory as a fan then. Callum, Warren, thank you, mate, for gifting a membership. Appreciate you. And there was one gifted earlier on as well. Sorry, I forgot. Here, there, was this it? No, there was another one that I missed out on earlier on. Somebody gifted 5. Apologies that I missed out on that one. Oh, Shano said, I think it's Diego Dalot, to be honest. I'd be so sad to see him go. I know they have Trent and Dumfries, but Dalot is better than them both. Yeah, I think all of us would have a player, Shane, that we're hoping deep down maybe it was from our club to go. So now that we've all kind of sat on it a little bit and thought about it a little bit, how do you guys feel about the whole Canade situation now that we're a few days removed from it? Because I don't feel really angry about it all. I'm more concerned at this point about making sure we get a replacement. That's the only thing that concerns me about it personally. He said, not Haaland, Elise, or a Premier League player, or a defender. He's dropping stupid hints. Yeah, definitely feeling like it could be Ruben Neves then. Motorhome Dreamer said disappointed. Aiden said rat. The Ake said snake. Good luck to him, said Jaxie. It's a sad situation. The guy needs a new start, said Nick the Pointer. I hope it makes Huyson available, said I'm Renzi. I think he played Liverpool, said Eddie Cox Wilkins. Yeah, it's tough to know, because what I would say is, for the length of time we know he's been negotiating with Liverpool, which is all the way back to 2023, for the fact that between 2023 and now, Liverpool didn't get to an agreement, but yet within 48 hours of him leaving Liverpool, an agreement's been struck at Real Madrid. That part feels weird. Like, removing everything else from it, just that part feels weird. How can somebody else come in and get an agreement in 2-3 days? But yeah, for us, you know, no breakthrough in negotiation for years. It feels like one side in that may not have been negotiating in good faith. Yeah. Noel said, I thought you quit, what the fuck? I did, but you know, I knew you'd be disappointed, Noel, so I said it just for Nolly boy, I'd come back. But thanks for that, Noel. I mean, it's the highlight of the stream, that one, dude. Well done. Comment of the day for Noel. I thought you quit, what the fuck? But yeah, here you are. It's weird, that, isn't it? I'm here forever, and when I'm gone, they'll just have an AI version of me here just to provoke some trolls. Craig, I lost my membership on here. Can I restore? That's something we can't control at all, Hoarder. That's a Google thing or YouTube thing, mate. We've no control over anything like that. Yeah. It's a question that's been asked us a few times over the years, but we don't have any way of fixing things like that or anything. Unfortunately, it's all down to the YouTube side. Right, so we asked, can we get both Diamonde and Barcola this summer? Really, really close on this one. We'll leave it go for a minute or two, but I'm going to finish up the stream in a moment or two because my voice is absolutely exhausted and strained, and it's a busy time, so I don't want to overstress it. But there is a video coming out at 10:45 with myself, Bence, and Lewis, so do keep an eye out for that one. The full episode of the Anfield Agenda podcast with the three of us is up on our Spotify. And again, don't forget, if you could, please do make sure that you join the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp for all the latest transfer news, and our giveaway for June will be launched in there tomorrow as well. Scan that QR code on the screen. Mike Povell said, Craig, found our right back, mate. What a performance. Gilala Douay, what a performance tonight for the Ivory Coast. I didn't watch the game, so I haven't got a clue, dude. But we do need a right back, so fingers crossed we get one in. Right, I'm going to say goodnight to you, ladies and gents, but let's end this poll. And with 51% the no's win out. So 51% think it isn't possible for the Reds to try and get Barcola and DIAMONDE. And 49% said yes. I'm probably in the 49% who's delusionally optimistic. My friends, tomorrow we will see you again. Connor be here in the morning. You know the drill at this point. And appreciate all of your support. If you can, before you head off, do hit that like button for me. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We'll talk to you soon.